We should be good.
Are we live?
Click on it and find out.
I'm seeing.
Yep.
We are. Excellent.
Good.
We're live. Awesome. Welcome, guys. On this week's episode, we have the rise of the Sanderson Sisters. Kanye and Candace break the internet for like the 1000th time. And,
Not Kim that time.
Not Kim this time. But, yeah, and also, lastly, no homo, bro.
And we're back.
Yes. Welcome in again to another episode of the Counterculture Podcast. I'm your host, Christian, along with my great friend and co-host, Taylor. Oh, man, we're in officially spooky season.
We are.
Right? We're in October. It's crazy. This year is just flying by,
I love
man.
this time of year.
I do, too. Well, first off, the weather gets better. Like, this week has been fantastic weather.
It's the month of my birthday and my firstborn.
There's that. Yes.
And my thirdborn.
Yeah.
Next week. Next Wednesday, no episode.
Yeah, next week we are going to be off because his wife's going to be, having a baby. Kind of a big deal.
The diapers, all that.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've been listening to us for a time.
Exactly. So it's now, exciting about that is there's a good shot that the next time you see us, we very well could be in the new studio.
Yeah, all the trim, sheetrock, all that's done. It's just paint and caulk.
Yeah.
Furniture, which I need to work on that too.
Yeah, we're getting there, right? It's a work in progress, right? Although, again, I have my contribution, right? We're going to have a cool, we're going to find like a whiskey barrel kind of thing. I know if you listen to us, you're like, wow, shocker. Of course they have something like that.
Oh, my gosh, whiskey barrel. These guys, I know, speaking
right?
of which, it's Yellowstone tonight.
Yes.
So, not a sponsor.
Hashtag not a sponsor. Yeah, well, probably never, but we're a little too edgy for Yellowstone.
Oh, speaking of Yellowstone, I'm not sure if even my folks are listening, but they are currently in Colorado. So.
Oh, they are? Nice.
Different state, but
it's
same
close
vibe.
enough. It's close enough. It's much closer than Texas.
Yes. I love Colorado. If it wasn't so political, we've been going there forever. So.
Yeah. Hopefully, there'll be a time in our lifetime when, Colorado will get more not conservative, but
I still go
just
there.
Normal. I still go there, but
it's
then
good
also,
to visit, but it'd be hard to live, and it's so expensive now.
Yeah, just crazy. But yeah. So next week, we won't have an episode because he will be enjoying the arrival of his new baby girl Iris, right, which is going to be awesome. Awesome.
No, we're excited.
I hope you're ready to get back to the newborn swing of things, right? You had a lot more of a break than I did.
Yes.
So
it's like riding a bike.
So
that's careening off a cliff.
But yeah, speaking of Yellowstone, just real quick, very excited for season 5. I don't know any of Yellowstone watchers. The trailer for season 5 just dropped. Looks fantastic. I have a feeling this will probably be the second to last season. I don't know how much longer they can really.
Yeah, I feel like they could.
You got to have a good ending, right? I mean, the ability to put a nice bow on any story is always huge, right?
It's like that saying, too much of a good thing's a bad thing.
Right. Or
Rings of Power. They should have just known to leave it alone.
Well, Rings of Power, they should have known that it was a bad idea. That's why it sucks. Or Game of Thrones season 8, right? Well, that was more of they just didn't care anymore, so there's that. But anyway. We got a lot of stuff we want to talk about, right? And we want to keep it short and sweet for you guys, as we've been trying to lately. Right, so first off, again, make sure you like and subscribe down below. Hit the notification bell so you get notified when we do go live or post, new episodes. Because last week, our episode wasn't live, but we had a great interview with Alan Smith of the Saving Innocence.
We just premiered that one, didn't we?
Yes, and it was giving us a hard time, but it's all right. It still got up, and it was fantastic. So I hope if y'all either watch on here or if you listen on Apple, Spotify, I hope you enjoyed it. I loved having Alan on. I will definitely have to have him back on again.
That was a great conversation.
It was an awesome conversation.
Something we haven't dove into actually yet on our show. So it was good.
It was good. And so, but yeah, so like, subscribe, and then of course you can find us on. You got to finish it, right? You're supposed to. That's what the good YouTubers do. So, and then you can find us at Apple, Spotify. Leave a 5-star review if you prefer to listen. And then you can find us on Instagram at the Counterculture Cast. And then you can find our other social medias through our link tree.
I should probably address the sign, right?
Oh, yeah. And we have a little
my daughter's little glow bright thing. I was just getting creative with the
we always want to keep you guys on your toes, right? Always something going on. Always something new. And now it's off.
It's dimly lit.
Yeah, whatever. So we like we talked about right at the top, right? We're in spooky season, right? It's October, it's Halloween, right? One of my favorite times of the year, right? Like you said, for you guys, Tyson's birthday is around here.
They already have their
Your
costumes.
birthday, yeah. My kids have their costumes.
My costume came in, it didn't fit, so getting a.
Are you dressing up as well?
My parents surprised me, so shout out to them. I was, as an adult, sometimes you just like give your parents like a hard time or a little insight into like the mind of your youth, something they may not have been aware of. I was giving my parents a hard time a couple months ago, and they completely surprised me. So I was telling them about how my childhood dream was to be the White Power Ranger. And that as much as I asked, it never happened. It was like we were always a ninja. Every year was a different ninja, it seemed like. No, my parents were great. I mean, it was a Scooby-Doo like one year because I wanted that when I saw it at the mall. Like different things. My parents were great. But somehow they didn't get the memo. They weren't aware that I wanted to be the White Ranger. So they took that to heart. So my parents got me the onesie, like spandex suit, but it looks like the White Ranger, but it's a onesie. There's no armor. It's skin tight. It's like Spider-Man. And they got a large. And according to the sizing chart from China, I think I should be an XL because I put it on and you know how spandex is supposed to be stretchy?
Yeah.
It was maxed out. Like if I picked my arms up, it looked like a wingsuit because the fabric was so close
much?
That I could fly. But no, the sizing chart said for a size large, which nothing against my parents. I would have got large for myself too if I didn't check. But the large says between 5'3" and 5'9". And I'm 6, so the height was there, and it said under 155 pounds, and I'm like, that's not me. And I squeezed into it.
But also, that's a large.
That's a large. Again, remember China.
China.
The rest of the world is a little bit bigger. So
yeah.
So, anyways, I'm going to be the White Power Ranger for Halloween.
Yeah.
In a onesie in my neighborhood.
Well, I will. We will enjoy.
You'll probably be there for that.
I will.
Well, I know you're going to be there, but I don't know if I'm still trying to work the courage to wear it out in public.
You can do it.
It's one of those. It's white because it's the White Power Ranger, so it's a little sheer. We're gonna have to work that out.
Maybe you should say that for the bedroom.
Nah. Basketball shorts over. I'll listen to White Power Ranger in basketball shorts. Come on. Anyways.
Oh yeah. My kids got their
season.
costumes too. This would be probably no shock to you. My son is gonna be Spider-Man.
Oh no way!
Again. Dude, he's obsessed, but that's okay. But then Lila's actually going to be Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider or whatever.
That's what
she has like 40 different names. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what my daughter wanted. She'd been talking, and the last minute she changed her mind. She wanted to be Sally, so she's Sally from Night Before Christmas with the red wig and everything.
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
so.
And you know what's funny? As soon as the calendar flipped to October 1st, the kids were sitting down watching the show. I'm like, you want to watch a movie? I was like, great. Nightmare Before Christmas.
My kids watch it year round.
Yeah, my kids do too, but I'm like, you got to watch it, right? You got to watch it the first one.
Speaking of, we'll get to that. I'm not sure what order you want to go.
So the first thing we'll get this first part out because it happened recently, and I just have to talk about it. So one of the things I mentioned on the top again is that Kanye West and Candace Owens broke the internet. Now this is kind of like okay, duh, because it's a kind of a regular occurrence between both of them. Both kind of bombastic in a certain sense, but also both like to say provocative things. The story with this is there was a fashion show in I think it was France where they both donned these sweatshirts that said "White Lives Matter," right? And of course it broke the internet, right? It melted the face of every lib on the planet because how could you? How dare they? Right? And they of course got all the names that derogatory names that other black people will call black folks that think for themselves independently a little differently than what they're supposed to, and it's just magnificent. I think Candace Owens is just a gem. Just a gem.
Yeah.
She's just
fantastic.
A BAMF,
for sure.
She's what?
A BAMF.
Yeah, she is a BAMF,
yeah,
right? That's an old term.
It is.
That's an old millennial term.
Old, so bringing them back.
Right. We should that
bring back BAMFs and the White Ranger. So we're doing it.
So, but it's so funny to me that because the media and everyone's reaction is exactly what Candace and Kanye were wanting to get out of people. They wanted that crazy, outrageous
the reaction's predictable.
reaction.
They knew it was going to happen.
Yes, right. So and it's just funny to me. It's like, and it tells me also like these people want this kind of stuff, right? Because of how how they are reacting, they're thriving off of that reaction. But again, I don't think it's an accident that happened, and Candace is trying to get some buzz going because on October 12th, she drops her her documentary on BLM, which is called The Greatest Lie. So I'm really excited about that. It's gonna be on Daily Wire Plus. So we'll probably, maybe do a little breakdown or something of it on an episode. If we can, it just depends. But all I know is that I'm excited for that. And I just want to mention that on the top because I was like, that's so funny. It's just amazing. And I just love how it's just melting faces. And she's correct. And, they are correct. White lives matter, just like Black lives matter. And everyone's lives matter because human life is
it's interesting
sacred.
that they said white lives matter rather than just the typical all lives matter.
Yeah.
That gets enough people upset. But they went for the jugular. They went full white lives matter.
Right. And then Kanye had posted afterwards, like on his Instagram story, about how BLM is a scam and it's over, right? And basically, like, it should be ignored.
Okay. Well, there is a difference in the movement and then the organization. And the organization, like, has been in the limelight, whether you choose to see it or not, for all the money and the moving and the mansions and all that. And people still don't care because then they're just like, well, it's about the movement. It's about what we stand for. And they just turn a blind eye. I don't know.
But again, I even think that the movement is silly because because it starts with the idea that inherently there's a belief that Black lives don't matter.
Agreed.
Right, and of course they try, and that's the whole point of the name of the organization itself, because they pin you in a corner like, what are you saying? Black lives don't matter? It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying, and no one's ever said that. No one thinks that, right? But because they do that, right? If you say, well, I'm not aligned with BLM, right? I don't think that it's a good organization, which I don't actually think it's a very evil organization. It's like, oh, well, you hate Black people. It's like, no, I did not say that. I didn't say that. I don't think that, and you're a bad person for saying that. But it's what it is. It is what it is. But to segue for what you were going to say, recently, right, on Disney Plus, they had a release of I had to imagine a very, very monumental film for them.
I was excited for it for years.
Well, it's like 25 years too late, or let's say 23 years too late, because it came out like 26 years ago. Hocus Pocus 2.
Yes.
Right? So Hocus Pocus 2 dropped on Disney Plus, and it was and well, I say to it because it just goes along the lines of something that we've talked about, is that Hollywood is completely out of ideas. Like, they're having to resurrect and bring
been
back.
Saying that. That's all they keep doing.
Yeah, I mean, and we were talking about this even before we got on here, is that a lot of entertainment just seems to be very lazy. Like, the writing is not well thought out.
Hollywood shampoo, man. We want some conditioner, but shampoo's just rinse and repeat. You know what I mean?
I love the analogy. That's good.
That?
That's good.
Do you like Hocus Pocus, the first one?
Yes, I think it's a very. I mean,
it's wholesome.
I grew up
with
it. It's a tradition
in my household.
Yeah, it's a silly movie, right? I mean,
but it's geared towards kids.
Well, and I say, exactly, and I say that because, like, if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, like, Hocus Pocus, the first one has like a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, it's not that bad of a Disney Channel bad movie. Yeah, it's like a Disney Channel movie, right? It's like, it's silly, right? It's silly, it's hokey, right?
But it was so good. It
is. The first Hocus Pocus is very entertaining, right? My kids, we've already watched Hocus Pocus.
We waited till October, like, 1st, pretty much, this past weekend.
Well, yeah, so that's when
my parents came over Sunday.
Oh, really? Oh, so y'all watched it together?
We all watched it with my folks over, one, and then we watched the second one. Well, as much as we could stomach. So
yeah. So I knew from
You'd mentioned it to me because that's the first I'd heard.
Yeah.
About it.
So for me, I knew even before the thing that we had mentioned to you and Brittany, I knew I wanted nothing to do with Hocus Pocus 2. First and foremost, I knew I'm like, this is gonna be not great. Like, it's gonna be either taking jokes from the first one and basically redoing them. It's like, isn't this funny? No, but it's like 20 years later, and it's like, no, it's not funny because you're just doing it again, right? So again, I'm not surprised. They're like, let's just basically rewrite the same movie. It's just 20 years older, right? Which I've always found it very odd because, of course, like, anyway. And so I knew this movie was going to be bad. Mostly because Disney's been churning out garbage for the last, like, 2 or 3 years now. Partially.
We've been watching Andor, though. That's pretty good.
Is that good?
So far. And what I heard about it, it's from the same people who did Rogue One. And they refused to do any kind of, like, fan service or, like, any, like, the, like, cameos and, like, all the stuff that, you know, the fans like, but ends up coming out because all it is nostalgia, like old lines and things like that.
Yeah.
They're not doing any of that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were upset at first, but it ends up producing a better quality movie with character building.
Because it's thought out more. Again, and it's funny that if it is the same people that are involved with Rogue One has also been
one of the best ones.
It's been the best Disney Star Wars thing that's come out since they acquired the property, right? Whether movie or TV show. The Mandalorian is good.
I still like it.
I know I like it, but like Rogue One is actually like really good. Like, it's a very, very good film. Like, from beginning to end, it's a great movie. I really enjoy that movie. Even
though you know what's going to happen. You know what's coming.
Exactly.
It's one of those movies like...
Right. We know what this, how this, you know, we know it doesn't end well. Like, we knew, like, everyone, I guess spoilers for Rogue One.
They all die.
Yeah, well, they're not going to come out of this, right, because they're getting the Death Star planes, whatever. But it's still a well thought out, well acted, right? And again, for people that give...
Do you know what's not well written out?
What?
Or well acted?
What?
Hocus Pocus 2.
So you know what's... Okay, so you actually have sat down, I guess, and y'all watched part of it. So from what you watched...
60 minutes in. Like 45, 60 minutes in. I gave it a chance, and to the point where everybody started, like, not interested. My kids are, like, getting up and moving, and, like, we're like, I just pretty much said, should we just probably turn this off? And my dad was like, yep. Yeah,
it's just garbage. Again, even without what we're gonna, because we keep saying, like, you know, we're alluding to it. And actually, if you could pull up the notes real quick to it, the reality is right now, Disney is churning out garbage properties. The stuff they're churning out is just bad. It's not good. It's very lazy.
Well, it's like there's two different schools of thought at the company. There's good content for, like, real fans, and then there's the woke side. And unfortunately, that's taking over more and more unless you get somebody like the Andor guys who said, we're not going to do this. Do you want us or not? And they still said yes. So there's nothing in that. I've watched, like, 3 or 4 episodes that are out, or maybe is it 5 now? Whichever. Yeah. There's none of that. There's no woke. There's no hokiness. It's good. But the Book of Boba Fett was okay. Mandalorian's pretty good. But you can tell which is the ones that, like, all of Disney Plus is riding on. So they're kind of giving it some leeway. And then the other stuff that comes out, that's just chock full. I mean, not to go backwards, we were talking about something recently that we both said none of us are going to watch. We've talked about Buzz Lightyear and everything else, but it's just...
Yeah, it just... I look at it,
there's a school of thought to that company, and right now it's not going the direction that the fans or the customers want.
Right. Well, it goes to the average person, right? Like, the average person doesn't like this stuff. They don't care for it. They don't agree with it. But here's the other thing is that, again, Disney has gone full-blown riding on this woke stuff, and it's going to end up killing... They're going to end up shooting themselves in the foot because this was the final nail in the coffin to me not wanting to watch it. So it was reported, right, that there is 3 drag queens that are featured in the film. Right? I don't know if y'all watched it up to the point.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
honestly, it's just like with the Lightyear thing, or even the I don't even know if you were aware of this, but the DC, the Super Pets one.
Isn't there? I think there's something in there, right, where it's like
2 women for half a second that are a couple.
Yeah, with the dog or whatever.
Yeah, they don't even kiss or anything, but it just shows it. But again, something that a kid's not going to pick up on, but as an adult, we're like, why does that need to be in there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's everywhere you look. And with the Hocus Pocus thing, I'll have to agree that you sent this to me. It was like, okay, I'm a Hocus Pocus fan. My family is. I'm going to try to look past it. And it was pretty short. Very cringy, but it was short. The movie flopped all on its own, with or without this. But continue.
So I saw it. My assumption is the scene that these 3 drag queens are a part of.
I got a story about this.
Is a similar scene to the first film where the skeleton guy is doing like the music number.
Yes.
I assume it's a kind of a similar setup.
Yeah, basically. And they do like the same scene.
Are you? I guess,
different song, but then they do the In Kare Koriyama, like the whole, because that's the spell.
Who?
We'll see. People, he's not a real Hocus Pocus fan.
No, I'm not. Okay.
Say into by.
Oh, okay.
Should
they say that again? Okay, I didn't know, man.
When they're trying to get everybody to dance.
Right. I know what you're referring to now, but I just didn't know it by heart like you do.
The In Kare Koriyama, that's like part of the spell that gets them to like dance. And then in between those lines of verses, they're singing the real song, which back then it was, I can't remember. I was
put
just
a spell
saying
on you.
Yeah, I'll put a spell on you. So they don't sing that song. It's a different kind of oldie cult classic.
Yeah.
But then they slip in that, so it goes back to the song you're already familiar with. So again, it goes. It's just, come on, be original. It was so cringy, man. It was like, it's rinse and repeat. They're just doing it all over again.
Yeah.
But go on.
And so for me, it's just, again, it's that why do you have, first off, it's just you're lazy, right? And just, again, like
lazy,
this movie is just bad without this. But it's, what I feel up to this point is they put these things in there because they think what they have is garbage. And so to cover up that they know that it's bad, they put things like this in there to say, if you have a problem with this movie, it's because you're transphobic. Instead of someone just saying, like, yeah, I just don't think it's very good. I just don't think it's a good movie. And like, well, you're transphobic. It's like, no, I just.
Well, that's going to go with our last topic too. But
yeah.
We're actually really good with this episode because there's a trend going.
We have a theme.
I mean, even, in the first Hocus Pocus, she saw, what's her name? The main Sanderson sister. I forget her name.
Winifred or something.
Yeah. And she's like, dude, when she's like doing the fake Callie thing, and she's like, how would a witch from the 1800s know dude? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, whatever. It's a hokey Disney movie. We're going to look past it. But they even do that. Like in the second one, she's like talking to somebody. She's like, whatever, dude. Like,
and you're like, wow, Bette Midler, you're so cringy.
The same one-liners and everything. And then, okay, so I'll tell my story real quick about the whole drag scene, and then I was going to say something else about the movie that I think if they did the movie in a different direction, how it would have succeeded. So the RuPaul drag scene was very short-lived. They get up on stage, and it's like a Sanderson sister lookalike contest. So you have the drag queens who are clearly like overweight dudes, and they're dressed way over the top to where it's not even like a lookalike. It's just
it's a caricature.
Exactly. Who can be the most over the top? Mm-hmm. Like peacocking, literally. Mm-hmm. And then you have a group of 3 girls who are kind of like, I just want to kind of look like the slutty version for Halloween kind of thing, but they're over there. But it's still a kid's movie, so
typical Gen Z.
And then you get the Sanderson sisters, the real ones that come on, and they don't win, of course.
Of course, because it's like ha ha ha, and, they're the real ones, but they don't win. Yeah.
They're like off to the side. The Sandersons are the main characters, so they're in the middle. So it's not like it's look at these trans men, but clearly as an adult, you know who it is, right? Or you would think. Now, there was like this one line where like one of the trans, was it trans men or women? I guess they're a trans woman at this point.
There's drag queens.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's all dumb.
I'm trying to figure it out. I was really trying. So.
I think it would be. I think the proper term, if they consider. Here's a weird thing: is like they could be drag queen and not consider themselves trans, right? I mean, so I don't know.
It's just pretend.
It's just dudes that are dressing like women. I don't know what else to say.
Well, he was like I don't know. It was like, that funny viral video where he was like, "It is ma'am. It is ma'am."
Oh, man,
the black guy said something one corny one-liner, but it wasn't sexual like that or like about like gender or anything. But it was something where it's just like, okay, it felt forced, you know, like, and that was it. But so we're sitting there, and as adults, we're surrounded. Like there's like all these people. Like my parents are there, my 2 kids, my wife, me. We're all sitting on the couch surrounded watching this. And the movie's been kind of rough around the edges up to this, but still, the kids they're kind of liking it, so we're letting it go. This scene comes on, and none of us. It's kind of like as a kid, and like, you know, like a scandalous scene or sex scene kind of comes on, and you like, I don't want to make it weird and like look away, you know. So you just kind of keep watching. So it was one of those, and I'm kind of like watching my kids. I'm trying not to draw attention to this scene and make it seem anything else out of the ordinary from the rest of the movie, right? Until out of nowhere, my son's like, hey, that's a man wearing women's clothes, right? And I didn't answer. I just kind of, and then because he didn't get a reaction or anybody answer him, goes, hey mom, that black man, he's wearing a dress, right? I mean, we're talking makeup, wigs, everything. And without us trying to intervene, give him a heads up, draw attention to it or anything, he on his own, just turned 6, saw that. Like, that is why as parents, we've said things like, this doesn't need to be in there. You know, it's not about like, don't indoctrinate my kids. Like, let me have that conversation when they're ready. Let them just watch an innocent movie or what should be an innocent family movie. You know what I mean? And so we kind of had to be like, I kind of turn over and be like, yes. And kind of talk about how, you know, some grown-ups like to do this, you know, or dress up. And my son was like, that's kind of weird, right? And I'm not being transphobic. I didn't make a big thing about this is wrong or, you know, this is against our religion. I didn't do any of that. Stereotypical, what y'all think as us conservatives would do. I just was like, yeah, you know, some people do that. You know, that's their, you know, we don't do that, but, you know, that's pretty much it. And we kept watching. The rest of the movie was garbage.
But it is weird.
But again, my 6-year-old picked up on it.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch. You see the commercials on, like, if you're a Hulu member for the RuPaul drag show.
Dude,
every single
Hulu has the worst ads. The worst ads.
Well, it's their big ticket winner, or they think that's their big demographic. I mean, what's the gay audience, like 12% or less or something? It's not that big of a moneymaker, but they're, you know, trying to force it down the rest of us, which is fine. For acceptance and tolerance, whatever, that's what you want to do. But as adults, we can choose to either ignore a commercial, even though it's forced in the ads that we want to watch.
Yeah.
We can choose to leave that subscription service if it's too much for us. We can even choose to watch it if we want. Like, oh, this is funny. Let's watch a bunch of dudes dress up, or the RuPaul drag show. Like, I've got a buddy who's in LA who's really big into all of it. And I know that's fine. But to have my 6-year-old, like, that's a conversation I didn't really want to have.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted him I want my kid to go play in the dirt. I want him to have fun.
Yeah.
He doesn't like boys or girls right now at the moment. Like, he's innocent. And that's what I'm trying to preserve.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's...
Well, it just
this is why we feel like we have to almost pre-screen our Disney content, or every content for that matter, and it's sad.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's always a good rule of thumb to do that in general. But here's the biggest thing too: is that this is what they want, right? Because they want you to have that. Yes, please, just a little bit right there. Go. They are trying to force these conversations. They're trying to force these things, right? But the reality is, again, even a 6-year-old child can see, like, that's a guy, and he's wearing a dress. That's weird. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not that that was
it's unnecessary.
You didn't have to intervene at all for him to come to that conclusion, right? Mm-hmm. His conclusion was that is a man, and a man wearing a dress is odd. That's not the way things are, and in reality, like that is true, right? That is a reality, right?
Well, there's people who are going to get upset at that, like, oh, that was a teaching moment. That was right. That's our point. That right then you should have taught him, and teach your kids what you want to teach them. It's the same people who are getting upset when they're going to a Christian school and they're getting kicked out because they can't do this or that, but you're going against that Christian school's policies, what those Christians or Catholics believe, you know, at that school. Like, how much are you trying to change? Like, if that is the lane you want to sail in, why are you trying to go upriver? You know, go to a place where you are accepted, or what you want. stop trying to tear down and change every establishment just because you want to do this. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the Karens who order their food and they have to have it their way. You know, well, we don't serve that item here. Well, I know you have all the ingredients, so you can make it for me anyways. It's just,
Yeah.
They want it their way, no matter if.
Right.
Anyways,
But
rant
again,
over.
yeah. Well, no, but again, it goes back to this thing of, is why do you feel like you have to put this into children's content, right? That's been the biggest battle. Why this is such a huge battle at this point, you know, on the school. And again, the problem is, again, this is infecting multiple aspects of everyday life. Like, there's this group in Virginia who is basically offering to rehouse children minors who find themselves maybe to have gender dysphoria or not actually have it, but maybe they do, maybe they don't, whatever. But because they're arguing with their parents, this organization is offering to rehouse them with queer-friendly families, right? Which is like,
that sounds weird, rolling off the tongue.
Well, it's like legalized kidnapping, basically. I mean, the idea of taking a child from someone's home and then putting in rehousing them, as they would put it, with a queer-friendly, and then giving them just very, very strange. Like there's nothing
at least
okay
if your
with
kids got
that.
taken from you, like CPS, and they go to the state, at least there's social workers and everybody else. Like, I know there's flaws in that system. I've seen it firsthand. My grandma used to foster care. Like, my whole childhood, there was foster kids coming in and out, most with special needs, SA victims, things like that. My grandmother, she's still alive, bless her heart, great woman, did all that. So I've seen that side. I've played with those kids. I'm very much sensitive to it. But my point is, even in that flawed system, there's checks and balances. There's people that check in. There's people who document everything and make sure that they're in, you know, homes who people are vetted, background checked, and everything like this. It's, you know how hard it is to adopt somebody,
How
like the process
expensive it is.
But meanwhile, there's these agencies and committees who are like, oh, we're just going to put you in a take you from your home.
Yeah, take you from your parents.
With or without your parents' consent, because it's your rights. And we're going to put you with a
right. The child knows
household.
best, right? And that's where a lot of the evil from the gender ideology stems from, is trying to say, well, the kids know. It's like, please. So you're, again, it's a very cliche argument, but it's like, so you're telling me a 5-year-old knows what gender they are, but then a 21-year-old isn't responsible to buy a firearm? Like, you like, these logical fallacies don't make sense, right?
If we follow that logic, it'd be like, okay, you can't have that the grocery store. Okay, we're not getting ice cream because you don't need ice cream for dinner. Or you haven't did your homework, or you didn't do your chores. Well, and the kid wants to have a tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if the child knows best, then CPS has a right to take your kid right then and there, because you're going to get your child's rights. By that same logic with the gender dysphoria, or how they want to identify, you know, as a minor, I mean, that's what they are. The parents' rights are getting stripped away more and more as this movement gains traction and power. And it's only because of this movement. Up until this movement, parents still had every power. Up until you're under my roof, you know, the whole 18, you can leave. Well, say to Texas is 17, you can, you know, but
you can be tried as an adult, but yeah.
But still, if you wanted to leave out of the house and all that, you're technically, I'm not even talking about with the whole, you know, the sex thing, but I think you can literally, you're classified as an adult, right? In Texas.
Pretty much,
17.
Yeah. And the thing about this is, as well, is that, like, one of the head, like, members of this organization is like a certified, a licensed, like, child psychologist. So it's like, these people are nuts. Like, these people are out of their minds, right? That's why, again, over the last year, for not only this but also due to COVID, it's like, when it comes to this the medical community in a lot of areas, whether it's psychological or anything else, it's like, I don't really trust you. Like, I don't trust your opinion. I'm not even saying that they have ill intent most of the time, but I just don't feel confident with dealing with people in the medical community as
a
I
consumer.
did before.
I agree with you. Looking at people who are employed in the medical field, I think differently, only because I think, especially because of COVID, the issue is, right or wrong, too many people are scared to say the truth. Those people, like the child psychiatrists, who nobody is going to risk their job speaking out against that. So you as the consumer are left with, okay, well, this is what you're telling me, and nobody else is saying otherwise, so either take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're choosing
absolutely.
to be like, okay, well, now I can't trust you. And
Right, and that puts us all in a bad position because that's that was one of the big things from the whole Vanderbilt Hospital kind of scandal that Matt Walsh had kind of talked about. Now it was a couple weeks ago, where there was a point where they were basically, whenever they were doing this these gender surgeries and everything like that for minors, and they were having it to where there were LGBTQ, LMNOP, whatever, activists.
Oh, I've heard of this group.
Yeah,
you
like,
mean the HDTV group?
No,
the LG14.
So they would have like these activists sit in the appointments with the minor and the doctor to make sure that the doctor didn't say anything to discourage the kids from going through this, right? So it's like this Maoist.
So it's like getting a written confession with a gun to your head. Yes, you committed this crime. Sign it, right?
Yeah, it's like yeah, right. It's this whole movement, whether it's racial, the racial ideology or the gender ideology, right? It's literal like CCP style communism, in the sense where if you go to China, every company has a CCP member as part of the executive or main decision making of any sort of company there in China, right? To get the approval of the party. It's the exact same idea, right? This weird Maoist struggle session, right? Making sure, right? That's why you have these silly things like, chief diversity officer in major corporations, right? Because it's this ideology.
HR was
you thought HR was you thought HR was bad. Now you have your diversity officers and all this other bullshit going on, right? Where if you say the wrong thing, right, all this kind of stuff, right? Like, I was having this conversation with someone I work with, and they said, like, and for me, I don't really get offended by anything, but they were like, oh, Christian, like, do you speak Spanish? I'm like, no. They're like, why don't you speak Spanish? And some other coworkers like,
that's racist.
You can't ask that. I'm like, it's fine. I'm like, I was born here, and it wasn't an important part of my growing up. It just wasn't. And they're like, okay, right. It's an innocent question, right? But people are, other people were like you shouldn't ask that. It's like
if you're like first generation American, then maybe. There's some of the family who pick it up or choose to.
Yeah, well, it depends.
By the time you're like second or third.
For my dad's side, I mean, I'm a first generation American on this because he immigrated
you talked about
from
that,
Mexico.
Your mom not.
No, on my mom's side, I'm like 10th generation Texan.
Yeah.
From that side, so it's like, anyway. But it was just fun because it is that.
So
same
we say
thing
howdy.
People are like, we do say howdy, but it is that thing. Where people are like, nervous. It's like. It's not like she wasn't being offensive, right? She was just asking an innocent question, but people freak out.
Call the hotline.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So, but what's funny about the Hocus Pocus thing is we'll go to actually the bros thing, and then we'll end it with the Italian prime minister, because I think that will tie it up. Anyway,
sweet.
So what's funny about this is we had to talk about this. So I'm sure y'all have seen it because I think everything was inundated with commercials for this movie. I saw it a lot.
Yes.
So there's this movie Bros that recently came out. Right?
And they don't even hide what the movie's about.
Yeah. It's a
sausage fest. It's a total sausage, and I like bratwurst. I get a little bit of German in me. We just had brats the other night, but this is a little bit different.
This is very different, actually. I would say.
So, Bros completely flopped. It's supposed to be a rom-com. But
it's a gay rom-com. That is what it is. It's a raunchy gay rom-com. That is what it is, right? And they tried
but
to
it's supposed to be big box office.
Oh, it was. This is
movie.
a $22 million movie.
This isn't some Sundance thing where it's going to get awards. It was supposed to be for the big screen. It was made for the big screen, and it is not doing okay.
No, it totally flopped. And here's the biggest thing about it. So, and if you watch the trailers for it, right, they talked about it was from it was Judd Apatow, right? So I mean, very famous comedic director, right? We're talking about Forgetting Sarah Marshall, right? A great movie. It's like a litany
I'm sure
of
there's
great
some funny
films.
scenes in it. You know,
I don't know about that, but
hey, comedy's comedy. But my point is clearly this isn't striking home for a lot of people. I mean, Billy Eichner is in it.
yeah, Mr. Man on the Street.
Yeah,
right?
Billy
He
on
does
the
all
Street.
That
Stuff's funny.
It is, and you know what's funny? That is funny.
Yes.
Right? That's the ironic thing.
But you're not forcing your sexuality
funny.
on people. Like,
No.
people can tell you're gay from your bit you're doing, just from how you talk and how you carry yourself and everything
one
else.
of the funniest ones is he does an interview with like this lady, and she starts giving him a lot of attitude.
Well,
and
I don't like you.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Yes.
It's really it's genuinely.
He gets the
very
celebs
good
on there,
comedy.
and he's like, "Hey, if you saw Chris Pratt, what would you do?" Like, and then Chris Pratt's like right there, like, "Oh crap, Chris Pratt!"
Yeah,
you know?
they're like, people freeze up because because he's like yelling at them. Like, it's good comedy.
Yes, but
This is not good comedy. This is bad. This is not good. You know why? The reason why it's not good is because it's purposely provocative in a sense where they want you to over. And again, some of y'all may say, "Oh, you guys are just the typical conservatives, right? Gay, but whatever." And fine, whatever. Here's the thing: is they in the marketing they even have a joke about how this is not meant for straight people, right? This is for gay people, right? It's part of the.
But then they get mad that the straight guys aren't showing up.
Yeah, and then they get mad when straight people say, "Yeah, I have nothing. I want nothing to do with this." So we're gonna take this from the Daily Mail, okay? So
Go.
This is from this is the article. So the title was "Straight People Didn't Show Up." Bros creator Billy Eichner, Billy Eichner blasts homophobic weirdos after his gay rom-com disappoints with just 4.8 million.
So wait, he's calling the people he wants to show up and pay to watch his movie homophobic weirdos.
Yeah, good
Hey,
strategy.
you homophobic
Right,
weirdos, just show up.
This is Hollywood strategy, although recently, right? I'll get into that. So, so they made 4.8 million right at the box office, despite rave reviews. I guess like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, all this other kind of crap, and a $22 million budget.
Hey, nobody trusts Rotten Tomatoes anymore, anyway. So.
Rotten Tomatoes is a garbage. Basically, what only thing that matters in Rotten Tomatoes is the audience score. The audience score will tell you if it's actually skewed. Good. Yeah, well, here, you know what's funny about that? Did you see the controversy with the Women King?
It's
or
like
Woman King or whatever.
99 and 94.
Yeah, so the Woman King, 1,000% bots. I firmly believe. And again, for this movie, it has like a 94% rating. I actually believe there's a good shot that those ratings are accurate because I do think the people that went to go see it got what they wanted, right? So therefore, they liked it. So I don't deny that, right? But like with the Women King, I think those are totally fake, 100%.
You mean Queen?
Whatever, right? That movie is stupid. They sugarcoated the fact that it was about a tribe that was responsible for the majority of Africans being enslaved and sent over.
Not on today's show. Just kidding.
And sent over to the United States, right? That's what these people were a big part of.
The French went over there to stop them from slave trading. That whole fight scene that makes it look like they're like flying through the air and like stabbing. And
yeah, they're fighting abolitionists because they're all terrible people.
They're fighting like the French or whatever.
And also,
it was like a 12-minute like fight. The whole battle was over in like 12 minutes. Crowder and them were joking about it, but
oh, okay. So and also Viola Davis, not a great actress. Don't think she's good. I think she's overrated. But that's a side thing. Don't think she's great. She's okay as Amanda Waller, mostly just because she has the like quintessential resting bitch face.
I don't even know where I know her from. I recognize her.
You know her as Amanda Waller because she's in the she's the Suicide Squad
director, right?
Yeah.
She's not from Walking Dead. That's not Michonne. That's not her though. Either.
I don't know. I've never watched Walking Dead, so I don't know.
Once Upon a Time, it was good. I stopped at like season 8.
You know, there's so many.
It's probably
shows.
your age. You're young.
Dude, okay. All right, take it. You know,
hey, you have a lot of life experience because you started early, but
I do.
I'm about to be 32 this month.
32. Man, you're getting old, man.
I know. My wife wakes up in the morning. She's like, "You have a lot of gray and silver hairs back in the corner where I can't see looking in the mirror." And I've already told her, like, from when we got married.
I got salt and pepper happening all over the place, man. I'm 28 years old. I'm
ready for the silver fox.
I'm gonna be.
All right.
I'm gonna be gray. I'm gonna be totally gray by 30. I'm convinced.
Oh, damn! Especially with this show, how stressful. I mean,
exactly.
cover events.
But here's the thing for me: as long as I just have a full head of hair, if it's gray, I don't care.
That's starting to go too, man.
Hell no, it's not.
I mean, I've seen your dad. He's doing pretty good.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. What's funny is
it doesn't work on your father's side though. So I mean, you look at him for an example, but it comes from your mother's.
It's you look at your mom's dad, and you'll get an idea of what your and my grandfather, God rest his soul, he had he had hair like mine, very thick, very coarse. So I think I'm all right. We'll see what happens. Anyway,
Godspeed.
Right? So yeah, so.
People are like, what is
yeah, they're like, what's happening? We're just off the rails. Why are we watching this anymore? Thumbs down, whatever. A comment that we
Speaking of which, like and subscribe.
Just comment because it helps in the algorithm, right? Just say whatever. Just say I hate you. I don't care. So what's funny about this is, they had a $4.8 million opening. Here's what's important about that. Based on the average cost of tickets across the country, there would have been about 500,000 tickets sold. So
I think there was like 3,200 screens or something, right?
So not even a million people went to go see this movie on opening weekend.
Yeah, I think if you crunch the numbers, it means there's like at most 20 people per theater.
Yes. So what I'm also saying is that not even gay people wanted to see this movie. Gay people didn't even want to see this movie.
Not even, it's a rom-com. Not even women wanted to go see it.
Is straight, right, and wanted to be with a man. What about a gay rom-com is going to be attractive to a woman? What? Women?
What is a woman? Christian.
Well, that's still a mystery. I don't know. All women, you see, here's the thing. The way, like, liberals will have their token black friend, I think a lot of liberal women like to have their token gay friend. So that's the only reason why they would show any interest in this movie is because of that, because they're liars and they just want to feel like they're being accepting or whatever silliness. But what was so funny was just the meltdown that Billy Eichner had over the disastrous performance of this movie, right? But again, it's specifically attacking the people that he would need for this movie to be successful, right? I mean, the dude had like a meltdown on Twitter for like days at a time, right? What is it? So yeah, because let's see, Bros had a like $22 million production budget, right, and came in fourth spot, taking just again 4.8. So they didn't even win the entire weekend at all.
Yeah, they were coming like last to films that have been in their like third and fourth week in theater.
Not only that, apparently Avatar was re-released in theaters and almost beats it. A movie that is 10 years old.
More than 10, I thought, right?
Well, it was 2012, wasn't it? Or was it? No, it was 2010. So, so 14 years.
Yeah, it was like something like...
So, a 14-year-old movie...
got re-released.
Almost re-released, almost outperformed...
What I read actually said that it did outperform it. So
maybe it did, right? And then also...
Yeah, that's the sad part. Like... Know your audience, people.
But then also, Top Gun Maverick almost beat it as well. It had like 2 million.
That's just still out.
It is.
I own it at home now, so it's like
movie of all time in the United States. You know why? Because America's awesome, and Top Gun Maverick is a great movie. That's why.
If you don't like America, then F you.
Yeah, pretty much. What's that from?
Well, technically, the quote goes, "If you don't like Big Red, then F
you."
Yeah.
That's right.
Talladega Nights.
That's right. That's right.
Ricky Bobby. He's got two first names.
Like Big Red.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Crepes.
Great.
Those are like the really, really thin pancakes.
Those are pretty good.
Down, Kara.
Yeah.
Anyways, I
so
watched that movie a lot.
Such a great movie. I mean, that's real comedy right there. So actor writer Billy Eichner, 40. I don't know why I'm at 44. He's 44.
Well, you're giving them all the details.
I guess, yeah. It is from Daily Mail, right? What can I say? But he took to Twitter to share his disappointment over the film's performance. That's putting it lightly. He said that straight people, especially in certain parts of the country,
like,
didn't show up. So which parts? You talking about the Midwest and the South? In the South because you hate them?
Yeah, they're too busy at their Golden Corral and their Rustler's Steakhouse.
We're too busy watching college football.
Yeah,
is what we were busy watching, right? Like myself.
Well, I don't watch football, but
yeah,
I had other things to do.
Well, I was actually at the St. Ignatius Fall Festival.
Oh, you did go?
Yeah, we did. It was
Yeah,
fantastic.
we chose not to
Well,
go.
I mean, I know she has to be on bed rest next year.
Well, even my wife's side chose not to go. So I guess the weather was a little bit nicer this year, but usually it's always miserable.
It was pretty good.
Was it?
It was pretty good. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Really funny side story from that. So Eli did Vacation Bible School.
That's his son, by the way.
That is my son. He was in Vacation Bible School this past summer, right? And he has been obsessed with his one of the girls that was teaching him.
Okay.
Right. Her name's Mariana, right? And he was like, I mean, obsessed. When I say like obsessed with her, he's like, I'm gonna marry her.
Oh my gosh.
Like he has said that multiple times to us. And so we actually saw her, and we're like, Eli, look, there's Mariana.
Mm.
And he went up there, and she was like, hey, Eli, whatever. I don't know. Christina took him over to go see her, and he straight up looked at her. He said, I'm gonna marry you. And she was like, I just miss him so much. I'm like, that's not the thing he should hear you say. That's not what he needs to hear you say, because then he thinks he could do that.
It's like the Dumb and Dumber scene was like,
Yeah.
so out of 1 in a million, like, would you say like 1 in a million? She's like, sure. He's like, so you're saying there's a chance.
That's exactly what it was. And I'm like, the confidence of my son, I just love it. He's
there's a lot to be said about that.
Because I told him, I said, did you ask her? He's like, no, I told her I'm going to marry her. I'm like,
The man knows what he wants.
yeah, it's true. I mean, she's going to
That
be
male
quite a bit older.
misogyny.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know, right? You're going to want to have babies.
There's some of that
so
toxic masculinity.
that's right.
You didn't even ask a woman. You told her.
That's right. Because men are just better than women, right?
Canceled.
It's fine. You can cancel me. So, but
You named a movie Bros, and it's not even for the bros.
I know, right? And they even make fun of the term bromances. So it's like, you're totally missing the point. I'm sure there's probably a joke in there, or there's an explanation.
Right.
In the
The guys who use the term bros, brosive, like, no.
No.
You missed the mark on that one.
But again, it's so funny that he feels like when he's doing his little rage fest on Twitter, he feels the need to say straight people, especially in certain parts of the country. It's like,
just didn't show up.
Now you're gonna convince me. Oh, I need to go see the movie. No, they're gonna double down and say, hey, guess what, dude? I definitely really don't want to go see it. Not that I was gonna see it anyway, but it's like Hollywood has gotten into this theme of just berating people, thinking that's going to get them to change their mind and come see their film. It's the same thing like She-Hulk, right? The She-Hulk actress is like berating fans, like you're a bunch of incels and you're toxic Marvel fans. It's like, no, your show.
I just don't want to see
sucks,
a big green
dude.
Hulk twerking. Like, that's just not really what.
That's so cringy. Did you see that? Have you watched the actual clip?
No, just
it's so
TikTok. Like,
I watched the clip of it from the episode, like on, I think it was on TikTok. I'm like,
I just try to scroll past it.
This is so cringy. It is so bad.
Like, that's where entertainment's at now.
Oh, it is.
But yeah, he urged everyone who isn't a homophobic weirdo should go see Bros tonight. You know what I take away from that? And the fact that you brought up the She-Hulk thing, it's like a fire sale. They're panicking. They're probably getting phone calls like, you need to get in front of this now. You're the face of this movie.
Of desperation. It's desperation. And you know what else is? And he said also,
you're freaking out for money because so much money was put in on this that, if you don't recoup some.
And he probably had some sort of thing in his contract for a performance-based aspect to the contract for theater runs. And
right.
That's why he's freaking out, to your point, right? And that's why he also had like this other tweet.
Man, they probably thought it was a home run too. We're going to make a gay movie, Brokeback Mountain Round 2. Except the difference with Brokeback is that was, I've never saw it, by the way. Heard it's great. But the point is, it's a real movie with a real story and everything else. They just happen to be gay, right? To my knowledge.
I don't know. I've never seen it either.
Really well. But it was a limited small release. So the people who went, it was
like an indie movie and everything. But
but this was wide scale.
They were counting
box
on
office.
This. Well, again, they were expecting a $10 million opening weekend.
Yeah.
And the average movie has like a 65+% drop off from like the first weekend to the next. So they're probably going to have like an 80+% drop off. So they will be lucky if they bring in $1 million this next weekend. They won't. My predictions, they won't even crack $1 million this weekend.
Yeah, we call this a flop.
Yeah, it sucks, right? And again, the coping is just so funny because he also tweeted last night. I snuck and sat in the back of a sold out theater playing Bros in L.A. He wrote Sunday. The audience was howling with laughter, start to finish, burst into applause at the end,
like some standing ovation.
Right, and some were wiping away tears as they walked out. It was truly magical. Really, I'm very proud of this movie. Here's the thing. LA is one of two places where I would maybe believe that it's a sold out crowd. But I still think he's lying. I still don't believe him.
San Diego?
No, San Francisco.
Is it San Fran? San Diego's pretty LGTV 4K.
LGTV 4K LMNOP.
40-inch.
No, but I mean, no. San Francisco is definitely way more. I mean, San Diego is conservative for California.
Really? I thought it was. Maybe it is San Fran.
San Fran is covered with gay people, heroin needles, and shit.
And the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, that too.
I've been to Alcatraz.
Yeah,
I have. I've been to Alcatraz.
Oh no, I know. And it's really a shame because San Francisco is a beautiful place and the weather is amazing.
All of California is gorgeous.
Yes.
Well, except for LA. I mean, the streets, the hobo villages, and all that. But you get 20 minutes outside of town. Guess what? Well, actually, you say 20 minutes. Like 20, 30 miles from LA, you have like Big Bear, like a ski resort. The elevation change is so crazy. It's so dramatic.
Yeah.
It's like, but that's how California is. Like you have the coast and then the mountains just. Like, they're not as tall as, like, Colorado, but the elevation change is dramatic.
Tall enough.
If there was no traffic, I mean, Big Bear to LA is like 45 minutes. By the time you're going down the switchbacks and all that. You can be in LA.
That's why we've said
Santa Monica.
The most beautiful state in the country is wasted on the worst people in the world.
Blows my mind.
Yeah,
that
that's
is
the way it
ruined and toxic.
Well, it's kind of our own fault, I guess, as a country. But, so it's just really, it's just so funny. Right, all these, and this just shows that the left is actually, in a lot of ways, losing on a cultural level, right? And this actually kind of goes really well into our final story, which is, so recently, Italy has been going through elections, and they have their new prime minister elect. I believe that's how it's said. I don't have her name. I should have brought it up, but I don't have it anyway. I don't know what her name is, but you can look up. Just put in Italian Prime Minister. And what this is...
You mean Mussolini 2.0?
Yes. Sorry, Mussolini 2.0, apparently.
Google.
Yes. Yeah, just,
maybe Ask
just
Jeeves.
Is
Ask Jeeves a thing anymore?
I don't know. Is it?
I think it's gone.
I bet you the domain
Google
is there.
bought up all
check,
the
no, check real quick.
I don't have a phone. It's recording.
Oh, yeah.
Got to get a camera. These iPhones are amazing.
They are.
Not as good as a Samsung Ultra 22 Plus, but I'm team iPhone right now.
Yeah, well, So, but anyway, so the Italian Prime Minister is making a lot of, or to be Italian Prime Minister is making a lot of noise because of the thing she's been talking about, and I think this is again, the right is always characterized as reactionary. I think sometimes that it's very, very true. Sometimes it's not, but I think sometimes it's exaggerated. But I think it is true to a certain extent because we react to these things happening. Just like I was talking to Christina the other day, and we were talking about the gender ideology stuff, and it's like it is amazing to me that if you wind the clock back 5 years ago, we would have never been having this conversation. Like what? I know what it was. We saw an ad for Greg Abbott. How he signed a law to prevent biological boys from competing in girls' sports. I'm like, it's amazing to me that even has to be a statement that's uttered.
Yeah.
Like, why do we have to say that? Like,
Speaking of which, have you seen the Beto ads?
The cringiest ads of all time.
Comical.
I know. Beto's such a pathetic loser. But it's amazing. 5 years ago, we would have never had that conversation because it's like, this is silly. But that's where we are. And that's how quickly things can change. And she's been, and this is what when they start calling you a fascist and all these kind of things, it usually means that you're probably over the target with what you're saying. Again, that's why, whether it's President Trump, the Italian Prime Minister, whatever it is, right? And what's so funny about this is she's the first female Prime Minister in the history of Italy, right? Which typically those kind of things are a big deal for the
Monumental,
left,
yeah.
right? But those things are only important if you fall in line, right? But this is from one of our speeches recently, and I wanted to read this to kind of close out today because I think she makes a really, really good point. So this is from, again, like I said, a speech she said, and I would have loved to have just played her doing it, but it's in Italian, and I assume y'all can't, understand Italian just like I can't. My assumption. I don't know. Maybe we do have a huge Italian audience. That would be news to me. But this is what she said. So, why is the family an enemy? Why is the family so frightening? There is a single answer to all these questions. Because it defines us. Because it is our identity. Because everything that defines us now, or defines us, is now an enemy for those who would like us to no longer have an identity and simply be a perfect consumer slave. Right? And so they attack national identity, they attack religious identity, they attack gender identity, they attack family identity. I can't define myself as Italian, Christian, woman, mother. No, I must be citizen X, gender X, parent 1, parent 2. I must be a number. Because when I am only a number, when I no longer have an identity or roots, then I will be the perfect slave to the mercy of financial speculators, the perfect consumer. That is why we inspire so much fear. This is why this event inspires so much fear, because we do not want to be numbers. We will defend the values of the human being, every single human being, because each of us has a unique genetic code that is unrepeatable. And like it or not, that is sacred. We will defend it. We will defend God, country, and family. Those things that disgust people so much. We will do it. We will do it to defend freedom, because we will never be slaves and simple consumers at the mercy of financial speculators. That is our mission, right? Very, very powerful, right? Very powerful. And the reason why it resonates with the average person is because the average person is being sick and tired of being taken advantage of.
Yeah, we're all being force-fed the same thing.
Yeah.
And either you go with it, or you go broke.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, and again, there is a reason why these sort of things are to the left, and things going on culturally. This is why they seem desperate, because this sort of message resonates with the average person, because the average person does see themselves as, and we can apply this to the United States. We see ourselves as American, as dad, as
Well, technically, I'm parent too, but
well, we see ourselves as American, as a father, as a brother, as a Christian, or whatever it is that you identify as, right? Religious, whatever, right? You have to dig into those identities, right? This is what's so important is we have to embrace those identifying factors of us, right? The more we do, the more human we become, right? Because I think the biggest thing that she's pointing out, right, is when we relieve ourselves of these identities, right? When we mix ourselves up with him, her, Zimzer, and all this other kind of crap, right? Or what, there's no mother, father, there's parents, right? Which is happening in certain areas, right? You allow yourself to be consumed and taken advantage of much more easily, because you don't have distinct defining factors of who you are as an individual, right?
Yeah. And
you're just going to be played, right? You're going to be played like a drum, right? And you're at the mercy of whoever's in charge. Period.
I mean, it's fear everywhere you look.
Yeah.
I mean, a good example is, I forget where I saw it, but it was somebody who was talking about when somebody was ordering for his wife, he was like, "Oh, and my wife will have," and somebody stopped. Oh, it was on Rogan.
Oh yeah, I saw this clip. Yeah,
it was
I saw
on
this
Rogan.
Clip.
It was a guest, and the server was like, "Oh, you mean your partner?" And he's like, "No, I mean my wife." But that's how bold the other side is getting now.
Yes,
that they're going to correct
some
you.
weirdo a Starbucks barista is gonna like in a small way berate you, say, "Don't you mean your partner?" It's like, no, I mean my wife, you weirdo.
Well, the sad part is because of the culture and everything is the way it is today, it's inadvertently affecting me. I was just at dinner 2 nights ago with my wife, and I used to order for her all the time because I'm like, "Hey, what do you want?" And she'd say this, and someone would come up, and as a man of the house, I would just order for everybody. I made check, be like, "Hey, you said you wanted this, or and just order." And now I'm so subconscious about it and like thinking about it that most of the time I may order for my kids, or half the time I just let my wife order for them and for her, and then I'll say what I want, But that's the thing. Now we're having to worry about our P's and our Q's and everything else when it used to not be a big deal. Now, I mean, our family is subjected to like numbers, no longer mother and father. It's just everything's upside down. You're scared to do anything because you may get called out or canceled. If you own a small business and you do something wrong, then God help you, because that's much worse than being a consumer, because next thing you know, you're gonna be canceled. And the corporations don't care. They'll just slide right in, they'll play ball, and they'll take everybody else's money.
Right, because the corporations have one goal, is to make the most money possible, and they will do whatever they see fit to do so. That's it.
And those corporations do have a chief diversity officer.
Yeah, they do, and they're stupid. I know, very, very, very thought out intellectual response. But it's embrace the identity, right? Embrace your identity as far as what you actually are, right? Not what these cultural aspects, these cultural entities are trying to define you or redefine you, right? You're right. There's man and woman, right? There's husband, there's wife, there's mom, there's dad, there's brother, there's sister, there's son, there's daughter. These are distinct defining factors, right? We have to embrace them and take pride in what those are and be as bold, right? If a Starbucks barista is going to be bold enough to tell a man that that's not his wife, that's a partner, right? Which is, again, one of the funniest stories. It's, you should be bold to say, I am a husband, I am a wife.
Proud.
Do what?
You tell him, Christian. What?
What is I'm what?
No. I am gay and proud. No. Like you got to stand up for what you believe in. We've said this on the show quite a bit. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yep. And in times like right now, people start
walking over you as you're just ordering coffee. I mean, that's where we are. This isn't even a battlefield. This isn't even like, you're not even on trial. Like standing up for whether you did or didn't do something right or wrong. This is ordering coffee.
Right.
And that's where the battle is. That's the front lines right now.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make a stand where it counts. It starts there.
Exactly. So, again, be bold. Be bold as the barista. Right? Be bold as the barista.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we don't want to be confrontational. No. So half the time we're just like, let that pass. It's not even worth getting into a fight at Starbucks. But the thing is, that barista doesn't care.
Mm-hmm. So we should.
And again, balls.
You don't have to fight. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be mean. Right? You just say no.
You're the type of person that would be like, "Excuse me, no, this is my wife," and I'm just kind of like the type of person to like. Anyways, yeah. So
no, I mean, I'm not gonna. I wouldn't yell, but I'd be like, "No, it's my wife."
No,
like,
you wouldn't yell, but you'd definitely be like, "Yeah, no, this is my wife."
Yeah.
Should I be like, "Yeah"? No.
I'd be like, "Well, first off,
I appreciate what you're doing here, but no, this is my wife."
Yeah. Well, I don't appreciate it, so that would be a lie. But we don't go to Starbucks anyway. So because mostly, what's funny? You know what the biggest thing is besides the fact that I don't.
They did just open a Dutch Bros up in Tomball.
Wait, and well, I saw that. But here's the thing that I hear consistently is rich people never. I always dog Starbucks. It is a consistent thing I hear when I listen to, because I listen to whether
we can't all have $2,000 like espresso machines at home.
But again, these are people that don't even. But they talk about like, look, you could get like a regular coffee maker at home, right? Make coffee if you need it, and it costs you like a couple cents on the dollar. Yeah. But compared to you're just wasting.
Do you
money.
Make coffee at home?
Well, we don't drink coffee at all anymore.
At all.
I never did, and Christina stopped.
I drink coffee every morning.
My wife is a mother of 3. She doesn't drink coffee. She has more energy than she has ever had before.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
That's okay. I never drank coffee.
No,
But
I like coffee.
You know what's funny?
I was a barista.
Did
you know
I
that?
believe it.
Did you know that?
Are you the one that the story's about? You said, "Sir, don't you mean your
It
partner?"
is, ma'am. No.
Oh man.
There was this
That's
little
funny.
short story before we wrap up. There was this California-based company that came to Texas while I was in high school. They came to Houston. They opened up 2 locations. It was called Cafino.
Don't you California my Texas?
And it was like the first thing to really try to go up against Starbucks here, because Texans love their Starbucks apparently. There's really no mom and pop coffee shops. It's Starbucks or you make it at home kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or gas station coffee, which until Buc-ee's was not the way to go. Buc-ee's has decent coffee. So
Buc-ee's has great food. I love Buc-ee's.
everything about Buc-ee's.
It's fantastic.
And if you say Busey's, then F you. So yeah, you can tell it's the end of the show. But yeah, what was I saying?
Are you talking about this California coffee company?
Yeah, I worked at Cafino. And it was a little 2 drive-through lane parking lot based little thing. It was like a hut in a parking lot, like the little water things or photo booth back in that 70s show. And yeah, I worked in there. It was cool. Cool high school gig. Just dealt with cars, no walk-in customers or anything like that. We had a fun little.
So it's kind of like Dutch Bros, a little bit
smaller, much smaller. If you've ever seen it, they still have it on Spring Cypress. La Crema, they call it. Right there.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day, that was called Cafino, and it was a chain from Cali that came over. I worked in that little hut on Spring
really?
Cypress. Yeah,
Huh. Funny. That's
yeah,
funny.
that's where I first tried dip. So don't do tobacco, kids.
Yeah, don't
The
do
end.
that.
I'm just kidding.
Unless you're fishing, it's pretty awesome. Anyway, we're so off the rails. We're editing it. We're done here. We're done. We're over.
You lose.
We're
You're
over.
fired.
So again, we're gonna be off next week. Taylor's having his baby, so if you could, thoughts and
I'm gonna
prayers.
need a break. You know, I'm gonna have no sleep.
No, you're not. So please pray for him.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers. Seriously, hey, everything goes well. You know, everything.
For sure.
You know, for Brittany, the baby. You guys, as you go, you kind of restart. You know, the parental journey. So yeah, we will be off next week for that. And again, we may be in the new studio when you see us next. Who knows?
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed indeed. So make sure you like, subscribe, share the show with your friends. Get the link, put it on your Facebook, whatever, right? Share it with 5 people, whatever you want to do, right?
Go check out some merch. I thought it was pretty good.
Oh yeah, go to our link tree, right? And you can go find our merch store, right? At Teesprings, right? We got a lot of great T-shirts.
I should actually probably put it in the YouTube description too.
Yeah, we probably should do that. That would
Because
help.
you're for like all these episodes, you're trying to convince our audience to go to our Instagram.
I know. Then go to the link tree and then go to the Teesprings.
So
it's a lot.
it's the least
So we
I
should
can
just
do.
put it. Yeah, we should put it there. Go ahead. Like, subscribe, notification bell. If you listen on Apple and Spotify, leave a 5-star review, and you also share the show with your friends, your podcast listening friends. And we love you guys. We'll see you. We'll see you soon.
Next time.
Right?